The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the member for Herbert.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the NBN because Townsville was chosen as an early rollout site. The NBN, of course, was done as a response to the GFC. And it raised many, many questions. And one of the first questions is why the rollout was done on the higgledy-piggledy style that it was. It was to bring fibre to the premise of everyone's house, but not even to the member for Lawler, who's now leaving the House, leaving the chamber, has said that it's not being rolled out to businesses. Well, that would have made more sense to me that if we rolled it out to business first, because this is not a social enterprise, this is not a social enhancement, this is about an asset that will be sold by government. So if you're going to get an asset that's going to be sold by government, surely you want it to be, where the money is going to be made. Rolling the NBN out to my 84-year-old mother's house, where she checks her Facebook maybe once or twice a day, answers one email, is no real return on investment. When in Townsville being an early rollout site, we had the gift and the curse of being that site. And in my city, where we had the suburbs where we had ADSL2 already in abundance, was being chosen as an NBN rollout site. But we had suburbs like Condon, Kerwin, parts of Belgian Gardens and other parts of my city, which were still on dial-up and are still on dial-up. And we spoke, the member for Lawler mentioned the relationship between NBN and Telstra. I've got to tell you, in my city now, the relationship between Telstra and NBN is getting better and better and better. But I do agree with her that the relationship at first was fraught with a fractious and difficult repair ideological approach by the previous Labor government. What they told Telstra was that no matter what they did, they were not going to be paid for it. So when all those new greenfield sites were coming in, all the areas where they had advanced capacity or they could bring in more ADSL2 or shift it around, there was no reason for Telstra to do any work in that space because they were never going to get paid for it. So one of the first things that Malcolm Turnbull did when he took over as Minister for Communications was repair that relationship with Telstra, and it has borne great fruit. We are now in a better situation when it comes to the way we roll out this thing. It depends where you want to go. There seems to me that the member for Lawler was saying that we should have rolled this out to business first, and why are we doing it home? It seems to me that she wants to change the rules of the game halfway through, because the reason that the previous Minister for Communications, Stephen Conroy, said it would be led by bringing everyone onto the NBN, fibre to the premise, except for those people in remote and rural Australia. And that was the difficulty part, because when both parties took out the position in 2007, both parties' policies were very much similar about the need to bring people in from the out, not build it again. You had the ridiculous situation where like the member for Chifley's electorate, which had UHF cabling for pay TV, had full ADSL2, and then had the NBN called all over the top of it. So I have areas of my electorate, very much so as the member for Lawler has, where they can't understand why this map was originally done. What we are doing is rolling it out faster, more affordably to the customer and cheaper for the entire nation, because what we've got to do is try and make sure that this thing is saleable at the end. And to do that, you must make sure that we have a versatility in rollout. Like in Townsville, we had the entire CBD wired for the NBN. We had it wired for the NBN for a good 12 to 14 months before we even had the technology to take it from the footpath to a multi-dwelling unit of offices off the footpath. So what we are doing is trying to make sure that we do roll this thing out. This is not just about being able to watch Netflix or stream videos. This is about the future, and Townsville is seeing that future now. But it still gets down to how much you want to spend on it. It still gets down to how much you are prepared to do. And fibre to the premise, especially in difficult places, is very expensive. I have a friend of mine who's an engineer, lives in Mundingborough, an early rollout site, which is fibre to the premise. He reckoned it cost the NBN over $25,000 to get it from the footpath to his house because of the difficulty in accessing it. He's an engineer, and he says, and he's on basic internet at home. So he's at about $50 a month that he will pay for the NBN. He says it's going to take you an awfully long time to get any return on that investment. So those are the sorts of things that we must do. I congratulate this government because in the entire time of the previous government we rolled out to nearly 30,000 seats. We have over 70,000 places already connected in Townsville.
I thank the member for